Welcome to Lost. This is the 7th game in the... not 7th. 5th game in my series streaming the Games for One or More bundle. This is a game about getting lost in a labyrinth. Which is a shame because we're continuing the story of Ferenc and Bela as they go to put Attila's I think we decided it was like a symbol of being part of this college of witches. To put it in to this special vault, vault of this college of witches. So, this music is creeping me out. Yeah, the music box is a little weird for me. But yeah, so this game is a game. It's by Q, who shows up in chat sometimes. It's very, very good. And it is really exciting to me. Because... Oh, I'm scrolling. I shouldn't be scrolling. It's really exciting to me because this game is played with solitaire. Got no Roll20 up, just regular old Windows solitaire. So it's gonna be super interesting. It's gonna be super interesting. I think this is really funny, because when I was reading this, and I was like, trying to figure out what I needed to do, if I needed to set up a Roll20, whatever, and I instead and I was like, well, I'm not playing solitaire with the cards on Roll20 because the cards on Roll20 aren't great. So I guess I'll find just like regular Windows Solitaire. But turns out, by default, Windows Solitaire is like turned off. So I had to like go into my computer, find Windows Solitaire, turn it back on, which should tell you how long it's been since I played just like solitaire. I used to be extremely good at solitaire, so I was like, oh, I got this. We're fine. Ferenc is gonna be great. He is definitely not gonna die. But then I was playing some practice games, just to make sure I remembered how solitaire works. I have lost all my strategy with solitaire. So we'll see what this goes. But this is a really, really cool game. I really like the way it's set up. And essentially is, you are trapped in a labyrinth. The premise says you're trapped in a labyrinth, alone and unprepared. You have been here for some time and will in all likelihood remain here until you die. This is no simple maze. This is a labyrinth, incredible in size and immeasurable in complexity. There must be a way out, you think, perhaps stemming from misplaced hope. But you do not know where it is or even what it might look like. This game tells the story of your time in the labyrinth, including whether or not you escape. You are much more likely to die here, whether of starvation, thirst, poison, wounds, or simple age, than you are to make it out alive. But you will try to escape. After all, what else is there to do? So, after Ferenc is admitted into the College of Witches, is recognized as being powerful enough. They listen to his desire to put this this mark of Attila's in the vault. And they explain to him that this mark is used. Hey, welcome, Q. I'm here playing your game. So they explain that this mark and this vault is only accessible by the keenest minds, and the greatest teachers can only put their artifacts there. Ferenc, I think, it's a little trepidatious knowing that that he left Attila's teaching, but has enough trust in Attila and what Attila has done for him that this is worth it. They are about to transport him to the to the vault room when Autopod shows up and says, "No, I will take him." Autopod, of course, was the master that he did not approve of Attila. Hey, welcome. So, the leaders are like, yes, okay. And Autopod, says, to pass this test, you cannot use your magic, and you cannot take, or, you cannot use your magic, and you cannot take your familiar. Everybody else is kind of like, looks like a little bit weirded out, like that might not be the rules normally. But instead, but they all also look kind of afraid of him, and Ferenc kind of looks Autopod in the eye and agrees that he will take his take this advice, or like follow these rules. Just trying to like stand him up, saying that he's not going to back down. So they're transported to this to this vault, and they put the key in, or they put this Attila's symbol in, which is this beautiful, like clay, because he was a potter, yeah, right. This beautiful like clay disc, beautifully glazed and etched, and they put it in the vault, and Autopod smiles kind of viciously and says, "I'll see you when you come out," and he teleports out, leaving Attila in a room with only one doorway going out. So that's our setup. The way this game works is that we're going to play solitaire. And every time we lay a card down into this top thing, into this top foundation here, we follow a little bit of the story. So let's play some solitaire. How am I doing today, Jen? I'm doing all right. Today was the day that I bought all of the manga that I buy for the month, which of course I then immediately read and finished, because I read very, very fast. But like, I look forward to this day every month. I got to like revisit. It feels like, you know, hanging out with old friends that you don't get to see every once in a while. So, but I'm also feeling a lot of emotions from all of the stories that I read. All right. So we laid down an ace of clubs. An ace of clubs is creatures. Skittering and scratching, dozens of tiny somethings coming towards you. What are they and how do they proceed? Whoa. I think let's start small. I think these are just like, I don't want to say spiders because spiders freak me out. But they're just these like kind of weird beetles. And they're not like, I mean, they just look like beetles. And they're just kind of gross. But they don't seem like bitey or anything. There's just like a whole bunch of beetles showing up and crawling around, and it looks like they're going for something that's like, you know, kind of all pouring out from one crack and going into another crack in the wall, and it's extremely gross. See you around. So that's the first thing that we find in this labyrinth. All right, I feel fairly good about this setup right now. It's promising? Question mark. But you know, more creatures. You can't see it, but you can hear it and feel it. What is it, and how do you proceed? I think he turns down a corner and it's dark for a second, and it's all of a sudden the room that he's in becomes extremely cavernous, and they and all of a sudden there's just this sound of like bats everywhere, and they're they've been startled, so they don't like fly out or anything. They're not, you know, going out to feed, but they kind of shuffle around, and there's this like sense far above him that there's all this movement everywhere. Very unsettling, but Ferenc kind of feels like these are all here to scare him, and so is trying very hard to just like be like, no, this is fine. I'm good. I'm not scared of this. I'm better than this. Uh-oh. Well, so he comes to the end of this. This is what I was afraid of. So he comes to the end of this wall, and there's nothing. Just this like cave wall, with like a little tiny exit very far above. He can kind of see twinkling starlight for the bats, but there's no way for him to get it because get up because the wall is so smooth. And he turns around to turn back, and he finds himself immediately back in the oh, you can't see that I have no more moves, but I have no more moves. He turns and he's back in the vault room again, with one door. And he is a little bit confused, and he sighs, and yeah. Just the way this capture is working, with my display capture, the no more moves is technically a separate box. So that's why it's there. Or like, that's why I can't, you can't see it, but I'm out. Oh. So new game. Let's go. So he kind of squares his shoulders and tries again. You have made a fatal mistake. All right, Ace of Diamonds. Diamonds are objects. You find something to use in a fight. What is it? This time he finds a sword. He's a little bit concerned. Doesn't really know what to do with the sword, but figures it might be useful. So it's not a big sword, it's a short sword. So he takes it and he kind of like puts it in his belt. I think it comes with a scabbard and everything, so he like attaches it on and goes forward. Ooh, spades. A chasm opens beneath your feet. How do you reach the other side? He is concerned for a second, and then he remembers his time with Bela and the jump that Bela made, and he thinks he can probably do a jump like that. It doesn't look too far away, like too far across. So he does a running jump. He used to do this a lot across the river when he was a kid. He does a running jump and leaps across. The walls box you in. How do you escape them? So this time, as the walls start to box him in, he notices that some of the walls are a little bit crumbly, and he takes the butt of his sword and breaks off a rock there, as he goes to kind of break off a piece to see if he can jam something in a mechanism that he's looking for, the wall just crumbles and a new pathway opens up and he goes through. Man, playing with this like hype music is making solitaire very stressful. I like it. It's a good vibe for this game, I think. Ooh. Once you didn't live like this. How did you end up in the labyrinth? So I think as he's walking, he starts to think about his time with Attila, and he remembers that even though and why he quit magic to begin with, but he also remembers his the first time he met Attila was after nice cue. That's the Lost Woods track from Breath of the Wild is very good. I think yeah, he met Attila soon after his parents passed. And his aunt, gosh, what was her name? Mitzi Nani? No. Clara Nani, right. I'm gonna have to write all these names down. Clara Nani, he was like a teenager, and he was angry and he kept trying to run away, and his feelings kept causing weird things to happen, and Clara Nani didn't know what to do with him, and so one day he ran away, and Attila found him hurt in the woods. He had hurt himself on some kind of hunter's trap, like an old hunter's trap. And took him back to the cottage, and explained that he was that he could help him try and deal with what's going on, and that maybe, and he explained to Clara Nani that like maybe it would be nice for him to like have some time away from this house, and from his family, and be a little more separate. And I think it's, just kind of a natural story of like, like sad, angry boy needs good mentor. And that's what he got. So, there's a person out there who you can't stop thinking about. Who are they, and why do they matter so much to you? He can't stop thinking about Clara Nani. Clara Nani, I think, was much younger than her brother, Ferenc's father, and she all of a sudden had this like moody teenager to deal with, and she was like in her 30s and was kind of like I don't know what to do. And so things were really rough. But while he was studying with Attila, she would visit him frequently, and bring them food, and they'd have dinner. And slowly they started to like find a rapport, an accord together. And he just really misses her because he promised he'd come back, and he feels like he has to keep that promise. It's so important that he keep that promise. Yeah. That spurs him on, and he comes to another obstacle. You take a wrong step and poison darts fly towards you. How do you overcome this? I think the first one misses him narrowly, so he's able to just sink to the ground. This is the most stressful game of solitaire I've ever played. I'm here for it, though. 2 of diamonds. You find something of use for resting. What is it? I think he comes to a fountain. The water is clear and drinkable. And there's no bottle or anything, but he spends some time drinking water. He doesn't know how long he's been here at this point, but doesn't know when he'll find water again. Finding more things. More things is potentially useful. You find something of use for eating. I think the next room is just like, there's just some bread, and he's like a little bit wary, but he realizes he can't remember the last time he ate, and so he eats. This is a good move. Okay. We got this. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna put this here for just a sec. Okay. No song, no words. No words. So do we want to, yeah, let's do another obstacle. I'm just like so worried. Oh, that's all right. He found some water. He found some food. He narrowly avoided some poison darts. This round seems to be going much better. Yeah, I'm feeling good. You smell it before you see it. What is it, and how do you proceed? I think he smells a room that's just full of fire. Um, and he's able to go back a little bit to the room with the water, soaks probably a scarf or something that he has in the water, wraps it around his face, and goes through. Oh, boy. Okay. Diamonds. We got the 4 and the 5 of diamonds. You find something of use in a negotiation. What is it? I think what he finds, I think he finds a bit of a letter. Like he finds a junk pit. As if like when people magic stuff away, this is the room where it goes to. And he finds a letter between Attila and Arpad, and he realizes that they hated each other. There was a lot of like animosity, and that Arpad was actively working to destroy, like not destroy, but to to make Attila fail. What else do we find? We find something of great value, but also in this room of things that have been magicked away, he finds just a gem, like a really, really beautiful gem. Oh boy. Things are getting not okay. We're revealing cards. We're making spaces. Okay. Okay. I'm feeling a little better. 3 of hearts. Oh, and the ace of clubs. Okay, this is not the end of the world. What do we got for the 3 of hearts? You've been trapped in here for so long. What sensation do you find yourself missing the most? I think at this point he misses the feeling of Bela brushing up against him. If you are putting multiple cards up into the foundation at once, you can choose to answer all of the prompts together instead. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he misses the sensation of Bela kind of like brushing up against him. Bela was always there for him. And it feels weird to not have him there. Whoops. And then the ace of clubs. He finds those beetles again. This is a different room. Or this is the same beetle room that he was in before. But the door, the opening to the next room is in a different place. Okay. Okay. Okay, we got all the kings down. Okay, okay, okay. I feel extremely good about this. I always do that. Yeah, this is going really smoothly for my second try, so, we might have to do some, like, bonus rounds. Alright. Ace of clubs. And he goes through, and the wall is different. But he's in the bat room. Again. And he's worried. But this time the bat room keeps going. Haha! We did it! We won! Okay, let's finish telling the story. Every time. I still got it. Yeah, this is the bit where answer the prompts together matters. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it by suit. It's all force and no subtlety. This time, I think you smell it before you see it. How do you proceed? Oh, yeah, that was supposed to be a fire room. Whoops. It speaks with a voice you know. What is it, and how do you proceed? I think this time as he enters the bat room, oh, no. It's not the bat room. Okay. So this time, he smells that brimstone and that fire, and it's because it explodes in his face, and he hears a voice that he heard the night that his parents died. And he looks and he sees a 7-headed dragon man. In Hungary, the dragons can ride horses and have 7 heads and still breathe fire. They're a little bit different than Western European dragons. And he has his sword still. This is the same run as the sword. So he just, with so much rage and the still wet scarf, he just charges in. He doesn't think he can fight a dragon, but he's not gonna let it win. And as it goes to bite him, he realizes it. He's more in tune in training his magic. He's become more in tune with observing things and his intuition, and he's able to swipe, and he cuts off one of the heads of the dragon, and then he cuts off another one, and he goes, "That's for my fathers." And then as it's recoiling in pain, he goes into the next room. Let's do hearts. This feels like a good time to to do hearts. You are hungry. Essentially. You are hungry, so hungry, and what sustenance you can find here is bland at best. What meal do you dream of? You remember a time when you weren't always on edge, always watching. How do you relax? He comes to a room that's safe. And there's a bench on it, and he kind of collapses onto the bench. And he thinks back to the last time he saw his father's. And they had a big meal, big family meal. Someone's relative, the neighbor's relative, was visiting, and so they'd invited them for lunch. And of course, lunch in Tiza lasts 12 hours. It's lunch and dinner and drinks after, and you literally party till the cows come home and after the cows come home. But he remembered that his papa had made this most amazing paprika shirke. And it was the highlight of the meal. And after dinner, they all got together and they started singing the old songs. And I think he is very on edge, and through teary eyes, he starts singing the songs that he sang that night to try and calm himself down. The songs that his appa and his papa used to sing to him when he was scared of the monsters at night. Let's do spades. You enter a fork in the path. How did the routes differ, and which route do you choose? A strange mist appears, obscuring your view, and oh no, sorry. You reach for something only to find it is not what it seems. How do you escape this threat? He goes through one. He comes to this fork, and he one is a door with a knob, and the other is a room of utter darkness. And he tries his luck with the door, but the door handle starts to grab at him and try and pull him in, and the door handle's like weird and hand-shaped, and he takes his sword with his bad hand, and or his non-dominant hand, and he cuts off the knob and runs out. Diamonds. Let's find more things. You find something you thought you had lost. What is it? You find something that reminds you of someone you knew. What is it? He comes to a room and he finds on a table, on a pedestal, his old handkerchief. And wrapped in that handkerchief is one of Jofia's turnovers. And he realizes that the arm where where the door tried to grab at him is covered in these long scratches. And he doesn't understand why the turnover is here, but he knows he can feel Jofia's magic. He remembers that one day while she was she was at his farm picking up some more goat cheese, she fell and scraped her temple, or she hit her head on something and scraped her temple, and it was bleeding a little bit, and he gave her the handkerchief to clot the blood, and she promised to return it to him, and he told her not to worry about it. And she insisted and said, next time I give you this handkerchief, I'll make sure there's something good inside of it. And here it is. And he takes it, and once again, he eats the turnover, tastes the sweet, the cheese, from his home farm, and feels Jofia's magic healing his wounds, and takes the handkerchief and puts it in the breast pocket of his coat, and says a quick thank you, and continues. I can't believe I'm winning! Q, I can't believe I won! I thought I was gonna have to do this, like, whole thing where it was gonna be like, the whole point of the thing was for him to go kind of slightly mad, lose himself a little bit, and have to go through a couple times, considering how all of my practice games went, but awesome. Well, now we get to see all the stuff in your game. Clubs. It is huge. So much larger than you. What is it and how do you proceed? They're humanoid and they approach you in desperation. What are they and how do you proceed? Gosh. I think they're giants. I think the clear answer here is giants. Clearly he's extremely good at this. Yeah, I think the empathic magic and his intuition have been like honed by his gym, going to all the gym battles. Yeah, I think he comes across these giants, and they're running from something he can't see. It's like he's entered into like somewhere else, some kind of other plane, and he has to just avoid being trampled on at this point. As there's just this stampede of giants running and screaming. Let's do hearts. You cannot help but think of what led you down this path. What childhood memory do you keep reliving? You are feverish and your dreams are twisted. What memory do you dream of? And how is it twisted? So after he escapes the stampede of giants, he finds a place to rest, and he's so exhausted, and he finds somewhere safe. He kind of collapses on the ground, and he thinks about the first night he spent in Attila's cottage, now Jofia's cottage, and the room for apprentices had been full up of stuff, and so he kind of slept on essentially like a futon on the ground, and he remembers the feeling of the magic in the air and the smell of clay and glaze. And he remembers thinking that this air felt right. And he drifts off to sleep. And when he wakes up, he's in Attila's hut. And Attila is there. And he's happy to see him, but he's happy to see Attila, but Attila starts talking to him about how he's a failure. How he could never, ever, how it's a good thing that he stopped pursuing magic and went back to Clarinani, because he was not, because Ferenc could never dream of reaching never dream of being a good witch. This poor boy who couldn't even save his fathers from a burning building. And then the dragon appears 5 heads instead of 7. And blood and fire is everywhere. And he hears a scream, and he knows it's Zofia. And Autopod is there with a knife in Attila's back. And he says, and this is all your fault. You should have let him die. And then he feels a cold, wet tongue on his face. And it's Bela. And he lifts his head and looks for Bela, and he's not there. But his cheek is wet. Kind of gross. Glad he has that handkerchief now. Let's do spades. More obstacles. A strange mist appears, obscuring your view and filling your lungs. How do you escape it? Gravity suddenly shifts, disorienting you. How do you move forward? So as he wakes up and he's sitting in the room, all of a sudden it starts to fog up and the mist is here and he doesn't know what to, and he can't see anything, and he starts coughing, and he gets on his hands and knees and starts crawling back, or starts crawling towards the door. And as soon as he goes through, he flings himself, or he feels, no, as soon as he gets through and can see again, he can't. I got a better idea. So he's crawling, and as he's crawling, the fog is thicker and thicker, and it feels like it's pressing down on him, and every inch is just is harder and harder. And he promised not to use his magic. And he thinks about trying to feel light again, but he promised not to use his magic. So instead, he takes that cloth, that scarf that's no longer wet, and he wraps it around his mouth and nose, and he just fights through it the whole time. And when he gets to the other side of the room, the fog clears and he realizes how small of a distance it took him to get there, to get across. But he is so tired. Let's do diamonds. You find something that was left behind by someone else. What is it? You find something that you recognize from a myth or a legend. What is it? Oh, man. I think he finds a compass. This is a legendary compass that is supposed to direct its direct its owner to the thing that that the person desires most, its heart's deepest desire. But right now, it's just spinning in circles, like it's broken. But he takes it. Okay. Let's do 8, 9. Oh no. No. We got clubs. Let's do the 8s. You didn't know it was alive until it chose to make you aware. What is it and how do you proceed? I think this is your, like, standard issue, like, Dark Souls skeleton. And I think it asks him a riddle. He's ready to attack it, and instead it asks him a riddle. And he spends a super long time thinking about it, but gets it. And the skeleton sighs and collapses into a pile of bones again. I know I said I was going to do them together, but that was too good. Let's let Riddle Skeleton have his own moment. You have a rival, and you can't help. We have a rival. Why didn't that happen? And can't help wonder how they would fare here. Who are they, and what are your feelings towards them? I think he realizes as he's walking that he's a witch now, and that most towns only have one witch, and he doesn't want to leave. And he was Attila's apprentice, and so that should be his home. But he also likes Zsofia and doesn't want to kick her out. She was very new to magic too, but she seemed to take to it very well. Or maybe she's just baking and, it's just baking magic, and he feels a little bit frustrated that his magic was so hard to control, so much more powerful, and she can just make cake and bread, and it's like it didn't take anything for her to control her magic. She just made bread. She just made dessert. And he knows he's not being fair, but he's a little bit angry right now. Oh, here, let's do this one too. Let's have more him thinking about Zsofia. You find yourself remembering small moments. Times you worry you'll never have again. What do you think of these moments? And as he's thinking about the desserts, being angry, his stomach grumbles. And he realizes that he really missed those desserts. There were those red currant cakes that gave him so much energy. And be a shame if the villagers didn't have them anymore. Be a shame if he didn't get to smell the fresh baked goods, the scent of sweet fruit and sugar and magic mixing together. And I think he decides that Tizo will just have to learn to have two witches. Sweet fruit, sugar, and magic. Basically making the Powerpuff Girls. Maybe Zhofia is a Powerpuff Girl. Who knows? Clubs or spades? Let's do clubs, because I'm on the clubs page. There are worse things to be than a Powerpuff Girl, too. It's true. A strange person approaches, offering you assistance. What is it, and how do you proceed? They speak in unison. What are they, and how do you proceed? I think he hears... Oh, thank you. Pizza delivery. I think he hears... Is my chat overlay not working? I just realized that should be showing chat, but it's not. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. That was really silly of me. Pro streamer. Yeah, so these many voiced things. I think he comes to a hall of paintings, like Harry Potter talking paintings. And they're all trying to give him advice. And he can't hear, he can't make out. And then all of a sudden something changes. And they all start saying, he was a disgrace. He was a disgrace. You must never leave. You must never be allowed to leave. Over and over again. And Ferenc is creeped out and just runs through the hall. Spades. You encounter a mirror image of yourself copying your motions. Is this a Zelda now? And blocking your path. How do you proceed beyond it? Look, I gotta do it. This is its own thing. I mean, not really, but like, we have to do it. It's it's the rules. But uh we have uh uh yeah, he finds this mirror image of himself. He finds dark Ferenc. um the word for black in Hungarian is fekete. So I just love the idea of like fekete Ferenc. I don't know what dark is though. um Fekete Ferenc just sounds good together. What's the word for dark in Hungarian? Sötét. Not as alliteration, but sötét Ferenc. Um, uh, yeah, he just has a Zelda boss fight with himself, um, and when he does, all of a sudden he appears to be in the grand hallway again, and the the master of the library, whose name I extremely do not remember. Um, is it Istvan? It was Istvan, I think. Um, yeah, yeah, it was Istvan. Istvan. This is why you should write down the names of all of the NPCs you make up. Istvan congratulates him and says, "Oh, you must come. You must rest." And he goes, "No, I need to go, and I need to go home. I I miss home." And he goes, "No, no, no, no. It's been a very long time. You need to rest." And he keeps trying to like push him towards these dorm rooms, and he he agrees, and then they say, "Oh, just go to sleep." And as the door closes, he realizes that Bela's not there, and he wants to find out where Bela is. So he tries to open the door again, but it's locked. And he doesn't know what to do, so he uses his like brute strength. I mean, he works at a farm. He's a cattle farm. He's a rancher, you know. It's just a big boy and strong guy. And he takes the his sword again, and he breaks the doorknob. He tries to break the lock, and as he breaks the lock, the illusion is gone, and he's in a room again. This is like an entire D&D campaign in one solitaire game, and I'm super here for it, Q. It would take like 50 years to do this in Dungeons and Dragons, but I can just be like, it happens. Um, ah, what? What? Things are popping up on my screen. There we go. Hearts are stuff. Stuff. He hasn't found some stuff in a while. Um, you find something that you cannot take. What is it? You find something of use in navigation. So something of use in navigation that he can't take. I think he finds like a map scratched out on the wall. Um, and he just sits there, and he tries to like focus on memorizing this map as much as he can, but he's so tired. Uh, so um, he uh, yeah, he's so tired. Um, so yeah, he sits and he tries his best to memorize with what little brain power he has. Um, let's memories. Memories all alone in the moonlight. Here in this endless maze, you cannot escape your melancholy. What is your saddest memory? Hope is distant but springs from oh no! Oh no, Q! This was a bad choice. I have to my saddest memory and my happiest memory. So I think what happens is he goes to this next room and there's mirrors and he's watching his life in this mirror and he's watching the moment his appa and his papa are holding him, protecting him from the dragon attack. And he's remembering the moment he knew they were gone. And he breaks that mirror in despair and anger. And the next mirror is recent. And it's the moment, it's that the first night he entered the college after the long battle. And he and Bela, his dog, his familiar, had made it, had proved themselves to the most powerful witches in the land. And he remembers that despite the fact that it feels like he will never leave this place, that he is a powerful witch, recognized by the most powerful witches, and that he defeated Istvan, the Grand Witch, in battle. And he can defeat Arpad and his sadistic schemes as well. Obstacles. You sense danger. You look to see a large, heavy object rapidly descending towards you. How do you avoid it? Simple but effective. The spike-covered walls begin to close in on you. How do you make it out? So this is like the walls are closing in, the spike walls are, closing in, and the ceiling is spiky too. And he remembers the last time the walls started closing in, and he looks for another place to break it. And as he goes and he tries to break the floor, he lifts his arm up a little bit too high, and the ceiling disappears. And it was an illusion, and there's his sword catches a pull down ladder that he's able to use to like climb himself up just before he goes. Just before the walls that are actually real walls close in on him. So I think he finds like, you know how in the Pokemon, like, those like big factory levels, there's always like a bed. I think he finds one of those. I think he just finds a room with a bed in it. He's not going to question it at this point. He goes and he sleeps on that bed. And when he wakes up, the next thing is, it was dead once, but it is no longer. What is it, and how do you proceed? And he sees that 5-headed dragon. And it's not an elegant battle. It's not a good battle. But he kills it? And is exhausted, and he falls back down into the bed. He looks at the sword and wonders if he should maybe try and learn how to use this thing when he gets out. But strangely, he thought he might feel better after killing the dragon that killed his parents. But he doesn't, because his parents are still gone, and as much as the dragon is dead now, he doesn't feel like he's gained anything or gotten any kind of revenge. But he sleeps better than he has in a very long time, and he thinks the benefit of killing that dragon was not to deal with whatever sorrow he had, but instead that he's no longer afraid. I think he realizes that he was always a little bit afraid of this dragon coming back and hurting people he loved again, hurting him. I mean, he was young. He was a kid when the dragon attacked, and he feels much better now. So I'm going to do the queens, and then I'm going to do the kings. I'm going to do the kings one by one, but I will do the queens together. You find something difficult to carry but worth taking anyway. What is it? Actually, I'm going to do all these separately because these prompts don't go together. He finds I don't know. he finds a thing. I think it's something very fragile. I think it's like a really, really beautiful glass ornament. Or like an old perfume bottle or something. Like one of these beautiful, ornate, old, delicate perfume bottles. And he knows that Clara Naney collects old perfume bottles. It's her one kind of luxury hobby when she has extra money. And this is the finest one he's ever seen. And so he wraps it in that handkerchief in his breast pocket as best he can and brings it back. Knowing that Clara will be happier that he's back, but feels like he should bring her a souvenir anyway. You are so lonely and long for the closeness of another. Who do you wish was by your side? So I think this is like another I think as the longer he goes, the more tired he is. It's been a long time since he's had anything to eat or drink. And so he is he has to sleep more often than he normally would. And I think this night he dreams of holding Zsofia in his arms, which is weird because he's never thought or felt that about Zsofia before. And he kind of rationalizes it, thinking that he's been spending so much time with other witches, it will be strange to go back to someone else who doesn't have, or to somewhere where most people don't have magic, his friends, his family. And so he realizes that he thinks that the dream means that he subconsciously wants to get to know Zsofia better so that they can have somebody to talk about magic with. And he's not gonna think any more about it than that because it's too weird. I had to make it a little shippy. Sorry, not sorry. All right. I want to stop. All right, I'm going to read all the prompts first. Okay. So we're going to go. I can't believe I won. I still can't believe I won this game. Q was like, you're definitely going to lose. This game is like about losing. And then I read the rules and I was like, oh yeah, this game is about losing. And I made a whole second character so that Zsofia wouldn't die. And now I win. Which is great. I love this. This is awesome. Um, you find something that tells you the exit is near. What is it? Um, like, I kind of just want it to be an exit sign. But that feels silly. So I think what it is that it's a bookshelf. Um, uh, and that he's come up, and I think this room he kind of like comes up and uh it's like he goes up some stairs to get to this room and like pushes up a little like attic thing at the top, and he's in a storage room. Um and the air feels still weird here. It still feels like um he's not 100% out yet. Like it feels like this is too easy. But he's in a storage room and there are books. You feel like you are so close, but it has been so long. What have you forgotten? I think as he goes to the next, he leaves the storage room and he goes, it's like kind of a long hallway, but at the very top there's like a little basement window on one of the walls, and the sun is shining through, and he can see the sky, and he realizes that he forgot what the sun felt like on his face. And he wonders how long it's been, because it feels like forever and also not. This is a work of sadistic genius, and you cannot imagine any traps remain beyond this. How do you pass through? I think there's like a glittery magic wall. I'm feeling very Zelda. Like, that kind of like iridescence that is blocking Hyrule Castle and Majora's Mask. Um, and it's just blocking him. And he feels like this is cheating. So he decides to cheat. And he uses his magic. And he couldn't use his magic before because there was something blocking his magic in the labyrinth. But this time he actually, like, there's such a presence of magic on this wall. It's overriding everything, and he's able to tap into that feeling of power and just imagine himself taking in all of the power that makes this wall hold together. And it all enters him, and he realizes immediately that he's made a mistake because there is just so much power more, and it hurts, but he's through. And oops, that was the wrong one. And as he's through, we come to the king of clubs, a figure still and silent. You have reached the last guardian. What is it and how do you pass? And he sees they're in like a circular room, kind of old amphitheater, and he sees Arpad. And Arpad, I can't come up with like good dramatic dialogue on the top of my head right now, but he starts talking about, you know, how Attila ruined everything and he should have died when that dragon should have killed him. And he says, I remember you. Such a shame about your family. But there had to be collateral damage, and Attila didn't have the good sense to just die and make all of this worth it. And he says, well, I'm sorry, but Attila cannot be remembered as a great witch. He cannot be remembered as a great teacher. And so I have to kill you. And they have a big wizard battle! Rah! And I think that because he has so much power in him from that wall, and so much anger, he just unleashes this awful attack. And imagines what it feels like to die a horrible, painful death, and inflicts that upon Arpad. And he realizes that he is starting to die that same horrible, painful death, but it's worth it because this man has ruined everything, and this man tried to kill him and tried to kill Attila and tried to sully the reputation of one of the best witches he ever knew. And he realizes that he's at the last minute, that this labyrinth has driven him a little bit mad. And he stops just before he feels his life give out. And he looks, and Arpad is just a sad old man crying in pain. And he feels so ashamed. And as the room becomes dark and he starts to lose consciousness and he starts to fall, somebody catches him. And he hears the voice of Zsofia. and Bela barking. And he looks up at her and says, "How did you get here?" As he loses consciousness. And that's where we're gonna end! Oh. I was hoping I'd get, like, the old solitaire used to do, like, you know, all the cards would start to fall and there'd be, like, stuff, be like, fireworks and stuff, but apparently not. Apparently we just get a congratulations, you won. But we are going to be back on Monday, with Spoken Magic, and we're gonna learn how Zofia got there. Gosh, this was real cool. Q, this is awesome. I've never played a game like this before, and I really, really liked it. We were talking about this a little bit before, Q and I, on Discord, about how this game is really interesting because it is random chance, but also there is an element of player skill because there is strategy in solitaire. And also, like, making sure you can, like, notice the right things and do all of this stuff. And so, but all of the strategy in the world isn't going to help if you get a bad deal. Or you can get a really easy deal like I did. Like, that was a really easy game. So, yeah. This was a cool intersection of that, and also the way that there's, like, a narrative frame, because if you win the game, you go through the arc that he's written out, by answering all the questions. And he wrote a super cool narrative arc to go through. And, you know, yeah, oh gosh, it was really, really good. It worked really well in this kind of anthology series that we've been doing, but I can also see how it would work if you're starting from nothing, about how to build, like, who you're playing and the world that you're in and what kind of labyrinth it is. So I don't know. It was super rad. I really liked it. I highly recommend it. If you're watching the VOD on Twitch, it's in the Games for One or More bundle. That's there in chat. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll have the link in the description. 7 solo games, $15. I have at this point now played every single one of the games in this bundle before. Not all on stream. I've never streamed the page I didn't write. But I've played them all. So I can 100% guarantee that every single game in this bundle is excellent and that you should absolutely buy it. You have like 10 days left, and you're missing out if you don't get all of these games, because they're just so good. This has been really good. I mentioned this on Tuesday, but I really love this anthology play experiment. I think I'm going to play a lot more solo games in an anthology setting. It's sweet. It's so good. Play this game. I might play it again. Not now, because it's late, but, like, later. Because you could just, like, it's just solitaire, right? And now I'm addicted to solitaire again. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna play some practice games. And then the practice games just turned into, oh, I'm just gonna play some more solitaire. Oh, I'm just gonna play some more solitaire. Um, and then I was like, I that's why I was late for stream, because I was just playing solitaire. So this is really like fun element to add into solitaire. Um, and I really wanna like see about hacking this like solitaire mechanic into telling more like guided stories and stuff. I don't know, it's really cool. So yeah, definitely check this out. Q, I told you that I would love this game, and I loved it. So thanks so much for making it, and thank you so much for watching. It's a hack of your first solitaire based game. Oh, there's more solitaire games. Q is all about them solitaire games. Um, uh, Same mechanics, just different concept. Cool, cool. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching. If please, do all the stuff. Subscribe, follow on Twitch. I think it's September right now for a few more days. So like, it's less expensive to subscribe to me on Twitter or on Twitch. And also, like, subscribe, notification thing on YouTube, buy our games. If you want to have more of a say in what games I play after this, definitely join my Patreon, because I am gonna let people choose the games that I play based on Patreon. And I have some cool ideas about how that's going to work with this anthology play experiment that I have going on. And also, Patreon helps me pay for the games that I get to play. I will be back on Saturday with Nancy Drew. We're going to start Treasure in the Royal Tower, which is going to be another blind playthrough. At this point, that's the only Nancy Drew game I haven't played yet, so I'm real excited for that. Yeah. I think that's all the intro stuff I can think of. I'm just super jazzed about how cool and fun this game was. So I will see you all later. Talk to you soon. Bye.